This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We have a big show heading into the weekend today. Coming off the end of the Jets' road losing streak. It stops at 9 after a very, very fun 6-2 romp over the Minnesota Wild last night in the Twin Cities. What a game. Mark Scheifele with 4 points, a goal and 3 assists. Jonathan Toews opens the scoring in his 4th straight game, cashing a few tickets for WSTers. Shout out to everyone that rode. And a goal by Logan Stanley that may very well turn WST into Winnipeg Stan Talk for the next 2 hours. That's certainly been the case on social media and in my mentions, considering our conversations on the program this week about where the team goes from here. It's 4 in a row. You look at the standings and realize, oh, that's great. They won 4 in a row. And you realize just how daunting the hole that they have dug themselves is. But I'll tell you what, it's been a real fun week for Winnipeg Jet fans after a month of misery. And we'll see whether they can keep it going tomorrow night against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are coming to town. We'll get ready for Jets Leafs and talk about the big stories around the National Hockey League with our pal Dave McCarthy. And then a little later on, the Hammer himself, Jeff Hamilton, will join us, get his thoughts on this winning streak that the Jets are on. And, of course, tomorrow's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Looking forward to recapping last night's game with Michael Remis in just a moment. We cannot forget about the NFL playoffs. It is the divisional weekend. The Final 8 is here. We'll have our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. This is the last full NFL Power Poll we'll do, because after this weekend, there's only going to be 4 teams left remaining. But Hacksaw is going to join us a little later on. We'll have all that. And if you missed it, not great news for Blue Jays fans. Kyle Tucker, who the Jays had been aggressively pursuing, decides to go where else? The LA Dodgers. Why not add another $60 million a year contract to that Dodger payroll? No problem for the World Series champs. Tucker goes to the Dodgers. We then thought, okay, is Bo Bichette going to come back? Well, the answer to that is also no. He signed this morning with the Mets, of all teams, 3 years, $42 million a season. But a little bit of a Jays update. We'll maybe hit on anything remaining in free agency with Hacksaw a little later on. But, of course, our focus today is on the Winnipeg Jets, who, dare I say, are on a bit of a heater, starting off the long road to getting back into playoff contention, if that is even possible. I'll tell you what, keep playing the way they are and getting the results they are. It's certainly going to change the narrative and the conversations around Winnipeg. Listen, we're going to bring Michael Remis in here. We'll have lots to talk about coming out of last night's game. Do want to thank all of our great sponsors that support Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, our friends at Coolbet Canada. Myself, Jake, and Connor chopped it up today on WST Winners with all our picks for the divisional weekend. That's available right now on the YouTube channel and on the podcast. Of course, the Winnipeg Jets, our next Jet WST game, is the final game before the Olympic break, February 4th against the Montreal Canadiens. Would love to have you join us. Grab your tickets today, winnipegjets.com/WST. Also have to thank our friends at Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the St. B Mega Millions Lottery, Uptown Alley, Canadian Club, St. Mattel Dental Center, and Rolly's Transfer, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, and of course, we'll get to a why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray. Welcome to everybody in chat. Let's get ready for a big weekend and a big game tomorrow night at Canada Life Center. Michael Remis, how are you today, my friend? What a game last night and a fun post-game that you had with Connor after that big win in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I did not think the game was going to go that way. We put the poll out on confidence in a Jets win. I think there was some nervousness for sure going to that one. Could they keep this 3-game win streak rolling? And look, the first 10 minutes, not ideal, but they got a penalty from Samberg getting high-sticked. Gabriel Velarde draws another penalty, scoring a 5-on-3, and the game just flipped. And to score, not just one goal in the final minute of a period really, flipped the script on what we've been watching, but 2 goals in the final minute of the first really put a dagger into Minnesota. And I know you really loved when the Wild got booed off by their own fans after the first period. How joyous was it to watch that? And
it's a high point to the season.
I will always. So the road team, they split the series. The road team wins every game. Nicely done for the Jets. 4 straight wins. Taves, 900th point. Mark Scheifele, 4-point game. Big Stan with the bomb. Lot to like. And now, and Connor Hellebuyck with a big game. We've kind of been waiting for him, to have a breakout performance here since the losing streak. And there he was, 32 saves yesterday. Some big ones keeping them in it in the first period.
Yeah, listen, so much to talk about coming out of that game. Didn't love the start. It was 10-0 in shots midway through the first period for the Minnesota Wild. But to the Jets' credit, and in particular, I'm glad you brought up Hellebuyck because it's easy to sort of forget about the goaltending performance when you score 6. They don't have the opportunity to come back or to get the lead that they did in the first period if Hellebuyck doesn't play at the level that he did in period number 1 and really for the most part throughout the game. But power play clicks, they take advantage of a 2-man opportunity, score a goal in the first period, and things look good, but Minnesota was right there. And man, Reem, we unfortunately had a lot of consternation about how the Jets during the losing streak had a knack for giving up goals at the end of a period. Well, they flipped the script last night. Tanner Pearson scores with 11 seconds left. And then after an unnecessary, I believe it was icing to set up that ozone face-off, Taves goes back out there, cleanly wins the draw to the Scheifele. He puts it to Josh Morrissey, who is the first of 2 lasers to the top corner by Winnipeg Jet defenseman last night. And a 1-goal game all of a sudden was a 3-goal game in a matter of 8 seconds heading into the period. And that was something that the Minnesota Wild were never able to recover from.
Crazy how after the first period, the game was, I don't want to say over, but it was seemingly out of reach. They did score in the second period, but it was Logan Stanley with the big slapper, which made a 4-1 quickly after the Urov goal. And shout out to the fourth line, Morgan Barron going in for Danny Jilkin. Morgan Barron back from injury, and they score their 4th goal in their last 5 games. 4 goals in the last 5 for the fourth line. And the Jets were not getting any goals from anyone during this losing streak. They were averaging 4 per game in the last 5, or the previous, 5 games going into last night, and responded with 6. So the goal scoring there, not just from the top line, fourth line contributing, Jonathan Taves scoring in 4 straight for the first time since 2014. This team is certainly rolling now with 4 straight, but as you mentioned, there's so many teams ahead of them, really hard to make up ground. They need to go on like a 9-game heater here if they really want to make some hay. They're 8 points back at the Sharks for the second wild card. They're in a really, really tough spot, but nice to see them playing some good hockey, beating up on a rival as well. And I'm sure people want to see them beat Toronto tomorrow night at home at Canada Life Center. But that was an exciting one. That was fun to watch. And Mark Scheifele, showing that he should be on Team Canada. And Big Stan. It's been Stan talk all week, Huss. And there he is with, what a bomb in a tight spot.
listen, and it was such a huge goal, too, because, I mean, the Wild get that one early in the second period. I mean, we saw what happened to the 3-goal lead for the Winnipeg Jets against the Islanders on Tuesday night. That one was gone in 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And I think that was in the Jets' minds when that first one went in. But listen, this goal, we can't just gloss over, it was a big shot from Big Stan. I mean, that was a play. It will show up in the score sheet as Logan Stanley unassisted. But for him to keep the puck in at the blue line while he was being contested, to attempt to dump it in, bounce it off the Wild player, get it back, have position on him, and then take the open ice to go in and drop a shot. I tweeted this out, but dude, I literally gasped when that went in. It was just such an absolutely stunning shot and just play by Logan Stanley, who, I mean, let's face it, other times in his career, that one bounces off the player, and that guy might be gone the other way on a breakaway. It's just the story of how things are going for the big guy this year. And it was a shot that, I mean, nobody is saving. And how about the Selly? Just helping out the referees, just letting them know that that's a goal. He had a lot of color in his game last night, but that goal to me, Remo, reestablishing the 3-goal lead before Gabe Vilardi put him up 5-1, to me, one of the plays of the game, and one that, needless to say, everybody was talking about wherever you were with Jet fans after last night's game.
Well, it was such a big slap shot. You don't see big slap shot goals like that in a tight window. And you mentioned the power play after. Special teams, which hadn't been great for the Jets, were great last night, 2 for 4 on the power play. And that Stan goal was just at the tail end of a power play right after it expired. And 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. You know how good the Minnesota Wild power play is. Now they have Quinn Hughes, so much offensive talent there. And it was the big save by Hellbuck on Quinn Hughes. Didn't throw the stick, went out for the poke check. You know, that was just a great play by both players. They acknowledged it after. There was no penalty in the play, but Minnesota not happy. And it was Nico Sturm taking the unsportsmanlike abuse of officials 2 minutes. And Vilardi in front at a sharp angle after a Morrissey shot. And some great possession. You really saw, you know, how Morrissey and Connor rotate on the power play. Mark Scheifele so good at passing. And even Connor's pass to Scheifele on the Taves goal as well. Just such quick movement. Power play really working well yesterday. 6-2, 6 different goal scorers, Huss.
Yeah, they... Listen, this was, a game that, you know, they need to have them all. We'll be saying that over and over again if they're actually going to get back into the conversation. But, you know, you got to string them together and you got to keep building momentum. And it really does feel like they've got some right now heading into Saturday night's game against the Leafs. And then 2 more games right after that, Monday and Tuesday in Chicago, back at home against the St. Louis Blues. So a lot of hockey, a lot of opportunities to win games, but you know, we're not going to be having any conversations with the team getting back into it. You know, if they follow up 4 wins with a couple losses, I mean, they are in an urgent situation. And for the first time in a while, I think really playing like it. It was a lot of fun to see. I had, frankly, Remo, over the course of December into January, forgot that the team even did jacket celebrations or presentations afterwards. It had been that long since... It had been that long since we'd seen one. But the wins are back, and so are the jackets. And this was a really cool one last night that I think you get a bit of and I credit to the Jets for posting these, get a bit of an idea about the feeling in and around the room after that win last night. Jonathan Toews gets his 900th, gets the team on the board, and of course, everyone talking about the big guy, Logan Stanley. Here's the jacket presentation inside the Jet room last night.
Hey, huge road win, fellas, but Taser 900 points. Another good road win, boys. We've been through a few spells. The pucks weren't going in, but we're working for our bounces. Let's keep the train rolling.
Yes! Gotta go to the big clapper. Yes! He called it too.
Ellie, Great job to start the game. A couple of huge saves, and it's a great road run. Let's get out of there.
Yeah! All right. What a... First of all, I don't want to say a chill, but after hearing Jonathan Toews say what he said, which was partially bleeped out at the end after getting the jacket, there was, felt like I wanted to run through a wall. And then if Logan Stanley hadn't increased his popularity enough with the way that he's played this year and that goal last night, putting the jacket on and say, let's get out of this bleeping shithole at the end, I think made a few more fans as well that can't stand the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I mean, what a jacket presentation. And Jonathan Toews, 900 his point yesterday, also his 901st as he had 2 points, 133rd all time. Just behind active players Duchesne and Erik Karlsson, but on his way passing, could pass Scott Stevens, 908, Gary Roberts, 910, Bobby Orr, 915, Pavel Datsyuk, 918. I mean, these are all fantastic players, and Jonathan Toews has done so much in his career, 900 points for him, tremendous accomplishment. So what a game that it was yesterday, a quick one to Minnesota, come home, but hey, they're taking it one game at a time, and now Toronto comes in tomorrow for what should be a very fun match, Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. It's actually hockey day in Canada on TV on Saturday,
nice.
so I guess they got games all day.
A lot of action. Well, Leafs played a hell of a game last night. That was a lot of fun if you were able to tune in afterwards. Vegas and the Leafs going to overtime, of course. Vegas goes to overtime automatically every game, and it's just a matter of whether you get the OT loss or a win. They got the win in the Mitch Marner against his former team matchup for the first time. We'll talk about that in the matchup tomorrow with Dave McCarthy. Just before we get to Coach Scott Arniel and more from the room after the game, I mean, I see everyone still talking about Stanley in the chat. I want to revisit something we did yesterday. I don't know if this has ever been done before, but I want to do the why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And I am wondering whether anyone has a different vote than they did yesterday when we did this poll. This is probably going to be a topic that will continue, especially the way Logan Stanley's playing, but there's been a lot of conjecture about he as a trade chip for the Winnipeg Jets and the way that he's playing, what he brings to the table, what he might garner in a deal for the Winnipeg Jets. Many people would like to see the Winnipeg Jets, after all they put into Stanley and him sort of blossoming the way he has this year, keep him around, sign him, and extend him. So it's a very simple question. And Remo, if you can do the poll up again. As it pertains to Logan Stanley, do you want them to sign him or trade him? I'm interested to see if the results are a little bit different today than they were yesterday. Great game for the big guy and a great game for the team overall. Let us know in the chat, but let's hear from Scott Arniel. And as I say, the game started out with the Jets on their heels a little bit and Minnesota really pushing, and then the Jets completely turned that period around midway through the first. Here's Arnie on the opening frame and the frantic start from the Wild.
They have a history, especially in this building, of being real strong in the first periods, and we needed Helly. He had to make a couple of stops there, and he kind of went through, kind of weathered the storm. Obviously, scoring that goal on the power play kind of settled us down, and obviously moved forward from there.
In the winless skid, you guys had a bunch of games where I think you were giving up, maybe get goals late in periods, but now you've turned it the other way, and those can be daggers, right? Whether you're on the scoring end or the receiving end?
Yeah, I mean, it's focusing for the whole 20 minutes. They are, and also the other side, coming out in the start of periods and scoring goals are just as big. But, that at the end there, to get those two quick ones like that really kind of quieted the crowd a little bit, but it also, got us feeling pretty good about ourselves, and, and had a really good second.
All right, so there's Scott Arniel. And by the way, I know Schickster's wanting different options. This is just re-sign him for what it takes to sign him. He's going to get paid. He's an unrestricted free agent, or trade him for what you think that would be coming back. So just keep your votes coming in the chat, and we'll see whether we have a different consensus today than we did yesterday. Back to Coach Arniel. Big second period push after giving up a goal that cut the lead to 2. Here's what he had to say about the way his team built off those 2 late goals in the first.
We knew that, their transition game we talked about this morning, their ability to, with their D, to be in the offense. If we did the right things, created the turnovers, we were going to play in their end of the rink. And I thought we did a good job with our numbers, staying over top of their numbers. And, when you do that, it makes it a lot easier on everybody.
Do you know Logan Stanley could fire a puck that quickly?
Oh, I've seen that shot. Obviously, this year we're seeing it a lot more. That's he's got so much confidence right now. But man, he hammered that one. I'm not sure anybody was expecting that, especially the goalie. But he's feeling it, and great for him.
Well, Scott Arniel talking about that big goal from Big Stan last night. Mark Scheifele had a wonderful game. 4 points. Listen. We'll see what happens with Braden Point. We know Mark Scheifele is still in the protocol for the Olympic Games. Games like last night on the road against division rivals, against the team that was number 2 on our Chuds Power Sports Power Poll this week, or number 3, I should say, behind only Tampa and Colorado. That'll get some notice. He's rolling right now. Here's what Arnie had to say about the play of 55, who was a goal and 3 assists.
You know what? He's been, our go-to guy all year long. And like any team, your top players have to be your top players to have success. And, he's been doing a lot of the good things. And I always say, that, he's getting offense because what he's doing without the puck, and he's, working to get it back. That line does that. Creates his own time when they do it. And that just, he gets rewarded for it when he plays like that.
Scott, I don't know. Do you believe in statement wins? Is there such a thing as a statement win?
I cannot. I wouldn't say that now. I mean, if we were battling for first or second place or something like that, it might be something. But we're trying to catch some teams right now, and they've got their own little. They're in that top 3, so they got their battle up top there. So for us, I just we keep piling together. Talked about piling points up and try and catch these teams that are sitting above us. Now we're looking, like I said before, now we're watching Calgary and Chicago and Utah and like teams that are sitting up above us now. They're the ones we're after.
All right, there's the coach, Scott Arniel. Tikon Apolli's weighing in on this. Stan's going to test the market, leaving Jets no choice but to move him at the trade deadline. Can't lose a guy for nothing like a rental. Silly managing. So if Bowers, 23 and ready to make the jump to 7th D. I knew this would somehow come back to Tyrell Bauer. But needless to say, Logan Stanley, one of the biggest topics in WST circles this week. Speaking of Logan Stanley, he and Josh Morrissey had monster goals last night. Arnie talked about getting some big-time offense from his back end.
I think that, when everybody's a part of the offense, 5 guys, it makes us tougher to defend. But when those guys from the top can get those pucks in there, get them to the net front, whether they're rebounds, Mel's slapper, getting it to the net, and then, Tanner battling to, getting the rebound and putting it in. Those are big moments. And what I really like tonight is, again, there's 6 goals from 6 different people. And like we talked, you've been around all year. We've been struggling to score goals in this last probably 3 weeks here. It's starting to, go the right way for us.
Jonathan Taves finding the back of the net, too. That's got to be huge.
Yeah, he's really playing his game. 900 points, that's obviously amazing. He's feeling it, which is awesome. Hopefully he feels it right through the end of the season. But it took him a while to find his legs, find his sort of his place and his game. And now you see it, you're getting the rewards from it.
All right. Scott Arniel just on Jonathan Taves again, 900 NHL points last night and scoring in his 4th straight game for the Winnipeg Jets. We'll hear from Scheif and Stan a little bit later on. Dave McCarthy's going to join us right away. It was been nice for a couple days. The deep freeze is here, folks. Looking for a great spot to spend some time on a cold Winnipeg weekend. Having a blast? Why don't you head down to Uptown Alley at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue with your gang. 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, state-of-the-art arcade, fun carnival-style games where you win prizes, and you win tickets for prizes you can take home, and incredible food and beverage options for you waiting at Uptown Alley. Unbelievable spot for birthday parties for kids, teens, and adults, and an amazing spot for group and corporate events. Just simply pick your activities, what you want to eat, any add-ons, and the event staff at Uptown Alley will take care of everything else. Find them at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue, online at uptownalley.ca, 488-0000 to make a booking and get down and have a blast with our friends at Uptown Alley. Of course, our friends at Rolly's Transfer ready for 2026. Gang, if you are making a move this year, holler at our friends at Rolly's, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, family-owned and operated for over 60 years. They'll help you out with everything. Of course, you can go to Rollies.com and click on Request an Estimate. Use that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to be moved, and they'll turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that Rollies has been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today and request an estimate over at Rollies.com. It is Friday. I know our friends at St. Patel Dental Center will be paying close attention to the marble race. Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff, great supporters of ours. And we always have a few WSTers that try and plan their dental appointment at St. Patel Dental Center right around 3 so they can throw up WST, watch the marble race while they get their grill taken care of. Hey, St. Patel Dental Center takes care of clients from 6 months to 99 plus, as they've been doing for generations. They got a great new spot at 167 St. Anne's with convenient free parking in the background and a full array of dental services for you and your family. For all your dental needs, call our pal Dr. Terry and the folks at St. Patel Dental Center. Make an appointment online at stpateldental.ca. And hey, the weekend is here. The vibes are up again. It might be a good time to cheers a long winning streak for the Winnipeg Jets. Hopefully that can continue tomorrow against the Leafs with Canada's original Canadian whiskey, Canadian Club since 1848. Of course, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is available at your local Manitoba liquor marts. And we'll look forward to getting to Princess Auto Stadium and sipping on some of those CC and ginger ales this summer. And in the meantime, when you're at your local beer store too, keep your eyes out for the limited edition Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale, still available in limited quantities in 473 milliliter cans at Liquor Mart locations and your local beer vendor. All right, we're going to have Dave McCarthy join us in just a few minutes. But let's hear a little bit of Mark Scheifele while we wait for Dave to jump in and join us. Here's Mark Scheifele on the team's recent goal-scoring surge.
I think we've just been playing better hockey. Everyone's firing on all cylinders. Guys are making plays, holding on to pucks. Just kind of doing what's making the play in front of them. So it's been a great team effort, and just got to keep going.
What was it about that goal you guys scored that was kind of the turning point? I mean, Minnesota was dominating the first half of that first period, and then you guys score, and bam, it's a whole new game. Yeah. Obviously, you get a 5-on-3. You got to take advantage, especially the way the start of the game went. So, obviously that was a big goal on a 5-on-3, and then to get 2 at the end of right at the end of the period is, was a kind of a backbreaker.
All right, so there's Scheif. Yeah, there was 2 goals at the end of the first period. I mean, absolute dream finish to the first that didn't start very well. It was really cool to see Jonathan Toews speak after the game with that leather jacket on. He's feeling it right now. Scheifele talked about his teammate getting 900 in the NHL last night.
Sorry, just troubleshooting with Dave here. 1 sec.
But he's been incredible lately. Since Christmas, he's been, he's been awesome. We love having him on the power play. He's been great there, and I think he's just going to continue to get more and more comfortable. And it's been awesome watching him and learning from him. You had mentioned that team aspect. It's obviously you guys are winning in a very sustainable way. It feels like too, right? Something that's going to be able to keep going. Yeah, for sure. Even before we were just kind of we were giving up wins. We lose the one to Minnesota at the break, and a bunch of other 1-goal losses that easily could have been ours, and all we can do is just keep focusing on the game at hand, and that's kind of what we've been doing. We'll enjoy tonight, and then come tomorrow, we're getting ready for Toronto. So that's kind of been the mentality.
Getting ready for Toronto. The Leafs in town tonight. Hoping to have Dave McCarthy just working on a couple things behind the scenes to see if we can make this happen. Always fun to have Dave on the program. I don't think he's going to be in his backyard today. They got a lot of snow in the 6 last night. One point, I think it was coming down like 5 centimeters an hour. So I'm sure Dave will be inside today if he joins us. But listen, everyone on social media was talking about Big Stan last night, and they were in the locker room as well. Here's Mark Scheifele on Big 64 and his contribution last night.
He's been awesome. I not gonna lie, I've always seen it in him. So, I've always been a big Stan fan. He's been, a guy that I love to work on things with and see him grow. And I'm like a proud dad for him. He's been it's been awesome to watch, and that's the thing. He makes even a lot of little plays, not just on the goals that are amazing, and make it a pleasure to be on the ice with him. So, I saw it in him.
All right, so there's Mark Scheifele on Big Stan. Stanley did talk after the game about obviously the turnaround in the game, but Stanley was also asked about Mark Scheifele, who's been on a roll lately with his 4-point night last night. Here's what the big guy had to say about the Jets leader scoring.
Yeah, I think everyone in here gets to see him every day, and how hard he works and how much he cares about getting better in the game that he plays, and he takes a lot of pride in being a 200-foot player, winning faceoffs. Obviously, his offensive game is amazing, and it's just cool to see how hard he works at it, and hard work pays off. But great teammate, great player, and really wish he was on the team.
You said he's like a proud dad out there sometimes watching you. You get that vibe a little bit sometimes?
Yeah, he's helped me a lot, actually. He's done a lot of work with me, and since I was 18, 19 and got drafted, and he's always been in my corner. He's a great friend, and I love him.
Big loving in the locker room after winning their 4th in a row after what the team had been through. They'll look to make it 5 against another team that's been playing some pretty darn good hockey last night, was within a hell of a barn burner in Vegas. That, of course, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's welcome in our guy, Dave McCarthy, in the 6 to get ready for tomorrow's game. Dave, what's up? How are you? I hear you guys got a big dump yesterday of snow.
There was some snow. It was actually not too bad, though. It was like minus 15 degrees Celsius. So that means that it was primarily fluffy and light. So even though there was over a foot, it was pretty easy to move around. I don't use a snowblower because I'm a young, virile specimen in the prime of my life. There's nothing to require a snowblower for. So it was good. We didn't mind. It kind of looks pretty now. So
I said it was safe to say you probably wouldn't be doing today's hit in your beautiful backyard that you'll often join us with in the summer. It's an indoor day today, and we move on. Listen, before we talk about last night's game,
there you go.
There it is. He's always got some time to get out in the backyard. Give me your perspective on the Winnipeg Jets at this point. Adding a shockingly bad first half of the season and really a brutal 2 months after a pretty good start in October. Now there's been some wins coming. They've won 4 in a row, but I mean, you cover the Leafs, but I mean the entire National Hockey League. What's your perspective on what's happened with Winnipeg and where they are as we get ready for what should be a real fun night tomorrow night downtown?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, it goes to show how important Connor Hellebuck is to the whole operation. When he went out was kind of the beginning of the downturn of the season. So that didn't help. But I think what's also become quite highlighted is the fact that Nikolai Ehlers meant maybe a little bit more to this team than we might have realized. Because outside of that top line, the Scheifele line, with Kyle Connor and usually Gabe Vilardi, they can't score. And what we've seen now is Cole Perfetti hasn't been as good as he was last year without Nick Ehlers. Vlad Nemeskov hasn't been as good. So they've lost their depth scoring, and they're not getting contributions from anybody else down the lineup. And when that's going to be the case, you're going to have a hard time winning hockey games. So I think what has become clear is that they need another top six forward to provide some insulation to the top line when it comes to the responsibility of scoring goals, because they can't score consistently enough. Now, like the position they're in right now, it's nice they've won 4 in a row. They're still near the bottom of the league. Like, I'm not of the mind that this is a team that should be trying to claw back into the race. I just think there's too much ground to make up at this point. Now, you can never go out and tell the players to lose on purpose. Nobody would do that. The players certainly would never listen to that. But to get a top pick, I don't think would be the worst thing at all for this Jets team, because they do have a good skeleton in place. They're not a team where they're about to fall off a cliff. I think it's kind of one of those years where a number of things went against them. They lost a guy that was really important. They could use an injection of young elite talent into that lineup. So you take sort of one step back to take 2 or 3 more forward, because I still think they would be a contending team if they can add a young player like that can help relatively soon. Have a strong offseason by acquiring a couple of pieces up front as well. This is primarily the same team that went to the second round last year, outside of Ehlers. So I think that would help them improve their team, rather than scratch and clawing and grinding to get to, maybe 8th, maybe 9th place, either miss, just squeeze in, and then, as Daryl Sutter would say, waste 8 days facing the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they've dug themselves such a massive hole. I mean, it speaks to, just look at the standings, even with the 4-game win streak. The problem with all of that, and listen, I've basically been right there with you. I mean, I basically had written off the season at around game 9 of that losing streak, and seeing that, they'd fallen down to 32nd in the league. The problem with that is that it was almost inconceivable. I mean, they lost 13 straight 1-goal games. I mean, that just does not happen. It's not like they weren't showing up. It's not like they weren't playing for their coach. I mean, they were shockingly finding ways to win. And when you have Connor Hellebuck and Scheifele and Connor and Velarde and Josh Morrissey, to name a few, it's hard to lose the way they had been losing. And I mean, this was going to happen. They were going to win some games anyways. The bottom line is, though, it doesn't really matter unless they go on an 8, 9, 10-game heater, or, a period of 20 games where they're winning 15 or 16 of them. If that happens, then maybe they can be a playoff team. Your mention of the Avalanche is a key one, in that, I mean, they just seem to be so much better than everybody else in the NHL, the reward for doing that. But inside that room, there's a lot of pride in these guys who, frankly, I think have been embarrassed as to where they've found themselves. And, I mean, unless you're shutting down all the top players, you have to expect that the team that the coach is icing is going to go out there and do their best to win hockey games, and that's going to result in some wins.
Yeah, it's an unenviable position that they find themselves in right now, because they're not a bad team. They've just had a bad first, a little more than a half of the season, which has left them in the place that they're in right now. They've won 4 in a row, and yet they still, what are they, 8 points out of a playoff spot with so many teams to pass? Or what do they have, 43? Yeah, 8 points out, and they got Calgary, St. Louis, Chicago, Anaheim, Nashville, LA, San Jose. That's a lot of work, and you're running out of time, and you've won 4 in a row. So, what I always say is, okay, so you've won 4 in a row. Even if they win 7, 8 in a row, they're still not going to be anywhere near a playoff spot. And then if they go, 5, 4, and 1 over the next 10, they will start to slip back again. Like, that's just not good enough when you've lost. What do they lose? 11, 12 in a row?
Yeah, 11.
Yeah, you've played your card. You can't be crappy at any point the rest of the season. So it's just not likely that they'll continue to be able to reel off a streak of that nature to get themselves back into a playoff spot. And the last thing you want to be is in the murky middle. So, like, do you not agree? If they were able to get a top player that could help maybe as soon as next year, and a strong off season where they bring in a piece or two, with the group that they have, there's no reason why they shouldn't contend for a top 3 spot again in the Central next year, as far as that.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, it's the irony of it is that, with the roster they've had, if you even wanted to be thinking about a top 3 pick, I mean, they've sort of done the hard part. I mean, they missed Hellebuck for 3 weeks, and he hasn't been at the level for the most part that he has been the last few seasons this year. But to be where they are without, it's not like Scheifele and Connor were out for the first 40 games of the season. They were there. Now, listen, Cole Perfetti missed some significant time. Dylan Sandberg, Adam Lowry, all 3 of those players are much better. And I mean, the one story that probably will get a lot more attention as we get into tomorrow has been the resurgence of Jonathan Toews, who, to be perfectly honest, he was brought in. The hope was that he could be a real contributor on that second line. And, he had actually a nice first probably 10 games and then sort of fell off the cliff. I mean, the line was getting scored on at a hideous rate, and they weren't operating. I mean, they weren't producing anything. Coming out of the Christmas break, he has looked like just an entirely different player. And you look at this win streak right now, he's scored in every game. So they should have happened a lot earlier, or you'd hope they would have, but they're happening right now, and it seems like they've steadied the ship. They're moving in the right direction. The question is, can they find it in them to go on a really significant, consistent winning streak and make up? I mean, even with the 4-game win streak, you're 3 games under 500.
Look at the win streak that the Buffalo Sabres have gone on over the last 20 games. And even after all of that, I think they've won 18 of their last 20. Even after all of that, they are clinging to a playoff spot by 2 points. Do we see the Jets winning 18 of their next 20? I just have a hard time.
18 of 20 is tough. It is definitely tough. The one thing I'll say is that the level of the wild card is significantly lower in the West than it is in the East. Like, you don't have the top-heavy Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. You've really got Tampa that's kind of running away, it seems, right now, and they win every night. But with San Jose and Utah both won last night. They're in the wild card spots right now, so you don't gain any ground. Utah's 4 games above 500. The Sharks are 5 games above 500. The bottom line is, let's say that wild card spot is going to be 9 games above 500. Let's just throw that out there. That means that's 91 points, which is kind of lower than it has normally been. Bottom line is, this is a conversation that only matters something if they can do what they've done for the last week, for the next week, and the week beyond. And the next one up is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs, Dave, were a team that, had a similarly ugly start. Not quite as bad, and certainly not with an 11-game losing streak. But it seems like they, in the past 10 to 15 games, have completely turned it around. And I know they lost what was a really fun game last night to watch in Vegas. Yeah. But this would have to be the best that the Leafs have felt about their play at any point this season as they come into Winnipeg tomorrow.
Yeah, they've been much better, really, since that game just before Christmas where they defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then the game on Monday against the Colorado Avalanche, that was really the hallmark win of the season. That was really impressive. It's been confusing because, I can't say I'm surprised they're playing like this. I'm more so surprised that they played how they did through the first 25 games of the year. This, to me, is really what they should be about. They're a good team. But, man, through the first 20, 25 games, I hate to be overly simplistic, but it just didn't look like they gave enough of a damn, Hustler, really. Beating themselves, making terrible decisions, playing with a malaise that defied explanation. And now that seems to have gone away. Their special teams have turned around. Certainly the power play since firing Mark Savard and bringing in Steve Sullivan. Penalty killing's been pretty good all year. The power play's been much better. But they're just playing with a purpose now. They're not beating themselves as often. Like, they kind of threw one away there last night. They should have got 2 points out of that game. They were up by 4 different times. But it's a tough road trip that they're on right now. Colorado, Utah back to back, then to Vegas, now to Winnipeg. That's not easy. So the fact that they've got 3 points so far out of 6 is good. And then, if you're the Leafs, you try to find a point, hopefully 2 against the Jets on Saturday, and then I think you can call it a really good road trip before you come home for a busy stretch with 4 games next week. So they've played themselves back into that position, but similarly to the Jets, Hustler, like, they cannot lose 4, 5, 6 in a row, 5-1. None of that. Can't do it anymore. Like, you lose a game, you got to come back and win, 2, 3, to make sure that you don't slide back down the standings, because they, just like Winnipeg, played their lousy card early in the year. You want to play that again from the deck, you might as well fold up shop, because you won't have enough time.
It really is incredible, when you look at the East. I mean, there's an incredible wide gap between the top of the West and the bottom. Like, the Lightning have won 11 in a row to move into first place. They're only 1 point clear of Detroit. Now, they have played 3 less games, so maybe this is a little bit of an optical illusion. But the Leafs are 7 points out of first in the conference, and yet find themselves 2 points out of a playoff spot as we go in today. I mean, I can never remember a conference top to bottom so tight where even the last place team, I guess the Rangers now have dropped under 500, but a couple days ago, the Columbus Blue Jackets were at 500 and were the worst team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, it's nuts, and every single night it seems to change.
Yeah, and the Rangers basically waving the white flag this afternoon with a letter that they love putting out letters.
Oh, do we have a new letter from the Rangers?
We have a letter.
Oh,
Chris Drury has delivered a missive, if you will, declaring that essentially they are not going to rebuild but retool, and there's the letter, preparing fans for the likelihood that players who are fan favorites will be moving out the door. And a report from Elliot Friedman a moment ago saying they will not be offering impending unrestricted free agent Artemi Panarin a contract. So that likely means he would be one of them expected to move out the door, which is smart, because I think, look, remember who Art Panarin's agent is. Same agent who represents Kirill Kaprizov. He will not be taking a discount. And at the age that he is at, doesn't really make sense if you're the Rangers to lock him in for that kind of term and that kind of money again that he's going to be looking for. It makes sense to get something for him, in my mind, and inject some youth into the lineup, which they desperately need in New York. I'm not really surprised they're in the position they're in, Hustler, because when they hired Peter Laviolette, what was that, maybe 3 summers ago, maybe 4 now? I said at the time, I like the hire because Peter Laviolette is, what's the old song? Not there for a long time, but there for a good time. Like, he always has his team competitive, but he doesn't last long. And I said at the time, that's fine, because the Rangers roster itself will not last long. They need to win in the next 2 or 3 years. I said that 4 years ago, and they didn't. And now we see the position that they're in, which is an older group, not a lot of elite young talent in that lineup. And curiously to me, a little bit of self-sabotage as well. This time, maybe 13, 14 months ago, when they started out well last season, and then for whatever reason decided that Jacob Trouba and Chris Kreider could no longer be part of the equation. And so they ultimately got Trouba out of town, and they made it abundantly clear that Chris Kreider was next to go, and they got rid of him in the offseason. And then you get the owner, James Dolan, going on the radio last week and saying, oh, well, yeah, culture change takes time. And, it didn't look like the team believed in themselves last year. Well, why do you think they didn't believe in themselves? You took a couple of guys that were big parts of the teams that went on deep runs into the conference finals and ripped them out. What message does that send in the room? And then you bring in a guy in JT Miller for culture change. Culture seemed fine to me before Chris Drury got his hands on the team. So I found that really surprised to see how they went out and handled that. And it's blown up in their face. And now they find themselves in a position where they have to look ahead, which, look, the letter is, I think, the right call, because if that's what the plan is, I think that is the right approach. So in saying that about the Rangers, outside of them, yeah, everybody else still seems like they're more or less in the mix, or at least I think they would say so if you ask them, including Columbus. That's why they made a coaching change. And 7 points seems like a lot, but if you put it into baseball terms, Huss, that's 3.5 games, right? When you look at it that way, you're like, 3.5 games. That's not bad. We can make that up. So it's going to be an interesting race here in the Eastern Conference in the second half for sure.
Yeah, the Rangers, I do wonder what Panarin might fetch for them at the deadline. One of the complicating factors is his $11.6 million salary, which will be difficult for some teams to absorb.
Not so much for Florida, though, once they declare that Alexander Barkov is out for the year. And Florida is one of the two teams that Art Panarin is likely to give Chris Drury, as he has a full no-move clause. Oh. And if I may say so, is best friends with one young Sergei Bobrovsky. So if, put it this way, he doesn't end up in Florida, I will be, as they say in Montreal, shock.
Well, that'll be good, because we just assume that every top player is going to end up on either Colorado or Dallas in the Central Division. So we'll take Florida. No problem on that. The team that beat them, and you just look at the Rangers. Like, by the way, how about Mike Sullivan? Just signs up for 5 years, and this is year one. Not a great start for him in the Big Apple. But, Dave, I mean, you're out east. You're closer to this, although focusing on the Leafs. What do you make of this situation with the Ottawa Senators? I mean, this Linus Ullmark thing, personal leave, not in any of the programs, actually been at some of the games lately. Some people say he's never playing for them again. Some people say, he's going to be back with the team relatively soon. And in between, they put out this statement. The players now have to talk about it. I can't remember a messier sort of background conversation about a team in a long time. And frankly, it, despite a few recent wins, seems to have really hampered their overall trajectory of a hockey team that we thought could very well be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ullmark's on the ice today at practice, so I guess he's working his way back into the lineup. That's a very strange situation, to be sure. And look, I think that I don't generally like to dignify social media nonsense. I would say Twitter nonsense, but my account got hacked yesterday and I am entirely locked out. So I don't really know what's happening on Twitter these days, but I'll say social media nonsense. I don't generally like to dignify it with a response as they did, because it now brings a light and a spotlight to the situation that I think we forget at times. The majority of people are not on social media and do not live online, and likely would have missed the story altogether. Now they won't. Now they see it. But in saying that, when it started to take off as it did and became so grossly negligent in terms of dragging guys' personal lives into the situation, I think if you're the president of a team, you have to show that you have the backs of your guys, because it was becoming like DEFCON 1 really in Ottawa with how this was getting out of control. So I thought the statement it was a statement. We'll put it that way. Like, go back and read it in the President of the United States' voice. There are a lot of sick people out there. Like, I'm serious. It was like it was a Trump tweet. But I think they had to make it rabidly clear where they stood on it. And so hopefully that puts it to bed, because it did take off and turn into something that was out of control and was definitely working against them this season. And so I don't know. I think we just got to get to a point where we stop dignifying idiots on social media. And unfortunately, the day and age that we're in right now, social media has become a proxy for Vox Populi. And news organizations say, well, if it's happening on Twitter, then it must be. Like, is it really? Or how many people really was it 100? Was it 100? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't 20,000. I'll put it that way.
No.
But man, it was only it seemed like, but it wasn't. And so then you get something that runs out of control like this. And the best I love, Hustler, is when I put out a report of something that I know to be true. And I don't generally go into the scoops game very often, or that type of thing. But if I put something out, take it to the bank because it is true, I get people about, I don't really see it that way. You don't really see it that way. What the hell do you know? I'm telling you the truth right now, and you don't see it that way. And then someone says that, and then someone, well, I don't see it that way either. And then it becomes like, what are we doing here? How about we listen to people who know what they're talking about? Is that wild?
No, it makes a whole lot of sense, Dave. And unfortunately, there's not enough common sense in the world that we live in today. I hope you're successful in getting this Twitter thing picked out. I guess I see you have some big crypto gains lately.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Not pleased.
That is a tough scene. We should have a good one tonight, tomorrow in Winnipeg. The barn will be rocking. Jet fans will be ready to roll. The Leaf fans will be there. See whether the Jets can make it 5 in a row and try and force themselves back into the conversation with another couple of weeks like they've just had. Dave, have a great weekend. Congratulations on not using a snowblower and as always, being one of our favorite guests here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Well, thanks for having me, Hustler. And as Mark Scheifele says, it's nothing quite like beating the Leafs.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be having that conversation on Monday. Have a great one, dude.
See you, buddy.
All right, there's Dave McCarthy. Normally I'd plug his Twitter, but don't go to his Twitter right now. He's been hacked by crypto bros. That is unfortunate. Great stuff with Dave. All right, Hammer's going to join us. We'll have Lee Hacksaw Hamilton a little later on. We will get to a marble race. Folks, been a great week. Kicking things off with our friends from the St. Boniface Hospital and the Mega Million Choices Lottery. Tickets are on sale right now. And now is definitely the best time to jump on them. Of course, when you get your tickets today, you'll be eligible for the grand prize, one of 5 dream home options valued at $1.5 million or $1.25 million cash, tax-free. But if you get your tickets now before January 29th, you'll be in for the amazing winter bonus, which is a 26 Ford Escape STL line Elite valued at over $50K, or a $40,000 travel voucher and $10,000 cash. 4 winners of $5,000 shopping sprees at either St. Vital, Polo Park, or the Outlet Collection. Then, of course, you got the ultimate bonus. You'll also be eligible for a bunch of incredible vehicles and the World Cup trip. Tickets, hotel, airfare to a World Cup soccer game in Vancouver, plus $2,000 cash or $9,000 cash. Other great early bird deals, and it's all in support of the great work of the St. Boniface Hospital. So go right now. If you want to get them in person, Red River Co-op, London Drugs, or go online, stbmegamillionchoices.ca to count yourself in. Huge thanks to our friends at Princess Auto for their support of WST. Of course, Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is waiting for you over at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them on Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, or out in Brandon, or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. We will have our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll, our final full power poll for the National Football League this year, because, of course, we're going to be down to 4 teams after we are finished with it. But our power polls, as we'll be doing, brought to you by our friends at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore for over 80 years. They redone their website with the new controller. Now, right on the front of the page, you'll see the big snow day deals they've got on right now. Of course, the season is here. The trails are running. And Polaris Start the Year on Snow sales event is underway with up to $3,000 off select snowmobiles and financing as low as 0%. You're also going to want to check out up to $4,000 off select off-road vehicles as well from Polaris. Other great deals at Chud's Power Sports. And when you check out that site, top right corner, click on e-commerce store. It'll take you to True North Parts, their sister site, for incredible deals on clearance, gear, accessories, and so much more. Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, corner of Highway 8 and 231. Pop by and see him in person or start shopping at chudspowersports.com. And just before we bring in Hammer, it is a bit of a deep freeze this weekend, folks. Very cold. Is your car going to make it? Well, pop by Manitoba Battery to make sure that that answer is a yes. Free battery testing at either Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive locations. The best in customer service. If you need a new battery, you'll be saving big money with the best prices in town, beating the pants off the big box stores. Guaranteed. Donnie and the gang would love to see you on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive. You can also shop online at manitobabattery.com. And they'll be more than happy to deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter. Shop online today, manitobabattery.com. All right, let's continue the program and bring in the Hammer himself, Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press. Hammer, what is going on? How are you this fine Friday?
TGIF, my friend, TGIF. It's Friday day, right? We were in one of those businesses where we don't really know the day, the day-to-day, but it feels like a TGIF, and that's really what matters, Huss, is what it feels like inside, not what it looks like outside.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, listen, and let's face it, a lot of our listeners and viewers feeling a bit better because we've had a great week for the Winnipeg Jets as opposed to the disaster that they came out of. 4 wins in a row, big one last night on the road in Minnesota. Dare I say, this team is showing some signs of life after being pretty much DOA at the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, Huss, and even the start of this winning streak wasn't really being viewed as, necessarily all that much, right, to look into. And then, of course, the victories over the New York Islanders, who have been chugging along this year, playing well, and obviously against the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota, the other ones being at home. This was the big test, arguably Winnipeg's biggest rival, geographically at least, and to go in there and deliver the kind of justice that the Winnipeg Jets did, that was an impressive part of this run here. They obviously have a lot ahead of them here, right? And I know there's probably a mixed feeling, amongst fans as far as getting up there in the standings, right? They're still very much near the bottom of the West, but these are the moves they need to be making and consistently to climb up those standings. And I think it gives a little bit of joy to the fan base, right? I mean, no matter when or where your team is at in the standings, a lengthy losing streak tends to snowball. And when it gets to 11 games, a lot of people, we're not enjoying themselves. So to kind of be on the other side of it here, even just for 4 games, which is significant, but still less than half, almost a third of the losing streak they're just coming off of. They're trending in the right direction. You have to feel good. I think the biggest difference here, Huss, of course, and I'm sure you've talked about it endlessly here through this winning streak, is just the contributions up and down the lineup. They're looking like more of a consistent team, a team that I think many people viewed heading into this year. They seem to be playing more like a cohesive unit, and while consistency has evaded them for much of this year, I think you're starting to see a little more consistency even in this winning streak, right? Some of the victories early on didn't look all that convincing. The last couple have certainly looked better for this team, and that bodes well for a club who we all know, Huss, is not packing it in, regardless of the people outside the room are thinking. This team is fully committed to trying to punch that one of those final spots in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, listen, we were just talking to Dave McCarthy about it. I mean, you can say, hey, let's just lose all our games and be in the top 3 in the draft. I mean, the guys that are on the team have a say in that, and now they were front and center in getting them into the hole that they're in. But, with the amount of hockey left to be played, I mean, this isn't a team that's just going to, wave the white flag. At least the players aren't, even if management is kind of maybe looking at differently. And it sets up a lot of fun conversations that have certainly dominated this program this week. But just for the night, just quickly back to last night. I mean, we've seen a bunch of things that are happening. Mark Scheifele continuing to play at a really high level with 4 points. The resurgence of Jonathan Toews is not a coincidence that, he's scored in 4 straight games and the Jets have won 4 straight games. He seems like a different player right now, and it was really cool to hear him get the jacket last night. And he particularly seems motivated to move past what was a real embarrassing couple months for he and the team to where they're at. And then there's the number one topic on every Jet fan is Big Stan. And I mean, that goal last night, I must have watched it 20 times. The play that he made, and listen, I get it. There's a lot. Where was this for the last 8 years? The bottom line is that this individual is having a career year at the perfect time as he approaches unrestricted free agency, with where you combine where the team is in the standings, make some pretty important decisions for the team to make as you get closer to the trade deadline. Well, I'll start with the Toews thing. I mean, obviously 4 straight games with goals is an awesome, development for this team, and particularly when it comes to secondary scoring. And they haven't been flashy, right? They've been, I think, at the exact same spot, maybe in all 4 of them, where he's just putting the puck in, as it dangles around the crease. And while those are seen as dirty goals or garbage goals or what you will, those are the foundation of hardworking teams, right? It's about, and we've heard this from Rick Bowness before and Scott Arniel now, like, you're going to generate your offense out of your defense. And those are the kind of, discipline and I know it's in the offensive zone, but that's the kind of discipline that you need on a team, right? To get to the net, to drive to the net, to pick up those loose pucks. It just weren't, either they weren't popping out the way they were, or there wasn't anyone around for them to be put in. That felt like the first half of the season. And I think another big thing for Toews, of course, is time, right? I mean, I think there was obviously heady expectations for him. A lot of people slotted him in the second center automatically, thinking that this was the answer to the Jets' ails at that position. And of course, we all saw it play out for the first 40 or so games, not that great. And now we're seeing it kind of come around here. And a big part, I think, of this too is the fact that he's playing on the top power play line. I think that gives him, allows him to play with playmakers, right? I mean, he was kind of brought on to be a line driver, Huss, but I don't think that's the Jonathan Toews that you can expect at this point in his career to drive lines. But I definitely think you can certainly expect him to complement good players, and that's what I think that's what we've been seeing here. Got to tip your cap to Gabe Vilardi too. I mean, this is Big a guy. Time. This is a guy who is proving to be a line, and this isn't like, a line runner in a sense that, like, he doesn't need to carry a line, but he brings something that gets the group going, right? He's a smart player. He gets in and around the net. He's good defensively, and he can score, right? He's showing that consistency. So that in and of itself is great. That was the first thing, Huss. Remind me of the second part of that question. Well, the second part was where they find themselves in the tough decisions. And it's Stanimal. No, Stanimal. Yeah, just quickly, before you start on this, okay. I did it was a little social experiment. Okay. So yesterday on the show, we'd been, John Shannon was on, and a lot of people were talking about that interview. And, obviously, I mean, I believe, and I think most people would agree, that right now,
Logan Stanley at 27 with the season that he's having is probably the Jets' most valuable tradable asset of the pending UFAs. Jonathan Taves, with the way he's playing right now, could be a different story. We'll talk about that in a month. But right now, this team, in my opinion, needs to make a decision before the trade deadline. Obviously, many people think they put so much into him. You're now seeing the fruits of all the work that you put in. Do you sign the guy and keep him around, and the price is going up, and up every game, or do you trade him? So yesterday, the why not question of the day was very simple. What should the Winnipeg Jets do with Logan Stanley? Re-sign him or trade him? Yesterday, we asked that question. It was basically 60% trade him, 40% re-sign him. I said to Remis after the goal that he scored last night, I'm going to ask the exact same question today, and I bet the results are different. The results are in. Yesterday, it was 40% re-sign him, 60% trade him. Today, 56% re-sign him, 44% trade him. So recency bias is real, but it is fascinating. And like I've said it before.
Doesn't make sense? Like a decision that's going to make some people mad and make some people happy. Isn't that kind of like the right decision to a certain degree?
It's the most polarizing topic we have around the Jets right now. If I could show you my mentions just from things that have been tweeted out from the show, it has been nonstop, and there are people that are steadfast, trade them, and there are other people that are steadfast. You guys are insane. You got to re-sign them. And my point is, and listen, if the team is where they are right now, if nothing significantly changes, I think you have to make that move. But I will say this on the other side, the more and more he plays at the level that he has, there is definitely a level of FOMO of seeing a guy that is really turned into an effective and important player for this team and an incredibly popular player, at least amongst the fans that buy tickets and go to the games. That to me, it's fascinating, and my God, it certainly is just a content machine for those of us here. And as far as engagement, there's nothing that engages Jet fans as this topic right now.
Huss, do you really did you imagine a position where we would be talking about the future of Logan Stanley and the words FOMO being attached to them?
Absolutely
fear of
not.
missing out. I mean, this is somebody, and this is what's created such a difficult situation for Winnipeg, right? And I have empathy for this situation because you look at, this is a guy they traded up for in the draft, right? Identified early on, obviously a big body. A lot of people talk about 6'7", whatever. And they wanted him. They clearly saw something in him. They envisioned him to be a solid defenseman. Clearly that development path didn't go to plan, and we've seen over the last few years here, it really become polarized because he's been re-up, he's been added, he's, in some ways he's prevented others from climbing up the depth chart. And so he's, to your point, he's been a polarizing player for a very long time. And I would argue probably less polarizing in previous years because most people probably didn't want to see Logan Stanley around. Now he's done something that is unique. He's not just scoring goals, right? He's scoring nice goals. I mean, that clapper last night was awesome against a goaltender who was 2-0 against Winnipeg this year with like a .940 save percentage and one shutout. So, all the goals seem like they're highlight reel, but it's not just him scoring goals. It's his decision-making, right? The decision-making used to be the part that drove people crazy. It's like the guy he had the size, but he couldn't figure out how to use his stick. Now he's jumping into the play offensively, and he's doing it better than arguably any other defenseman on the Winnipeg Jets. So that's where the FOMO comes out, because you're wondering, is this the start of a guy who is in his, later 20s, mid-late 20s years? Is this a guy who is going to turn the corner and be impressive and continue? Or is this lightning in a bottle, right? Is this, what are we thinking here? What is the future of him? And when you start hearing about figures like $5 million and plus, essentially, and over multiple years, of course, you start wondering, do you want to pay that for your what you probably envision as a third pairing defenseman? And at the same time, is that really expensive? That becomes the next question, because you start looking at the salary cap and the significant rise that it's already had and what it's expected to come. Is all of a sudden, does that not become eventually and I know people are probably like, absolutely not. It could very well become the kind of price for, a third pairing defenseman in the future here. So that's another thing to consider. I just think right here in Hudson, I don't have an answer for it. I don't have any stake in it. In fact, I think the story is amazing for Logan Stanley. I've never been part of this debate. I've understood, the issues fans have had him. I can appreciate the excitement that others have for him now, but I don't know what the future has in store. And it is a big gamble, because what you've seen this year kind of contradicts what you've seen in the previous years. And again, hockey deals, contracts are about risk. They are betting on players. It's no longer, that whole idea of paying a guy for what he's done is kind of out the window now. You start paying them for what you think they're going to do. And I think Logan Stanley is so intriguing. And I know, again, it's probably going to get that sector of people, a little bit fired up, but like 6'7", you can't teach. And if you can actually play defense and the decision-making, you see that decision-making improving at a speed that you think will continue, then the size does matter and the play does matter. And the fact the guy has 8 tugs this year, and as you mentioned, Huss, he's liked in the room. Those are things you want, right? So, but there's going to be a bit of an appetite. And to your point, that's the Jets don't have time on their side, because they're going to get back from the Olympic break, and they're going to have some decisions to make. Because I don't think you can take Logan Stanley into the back half or the back third of the season without either a contract or trading him, because you don't want to lose a guy like this.
Now. I mean, that's the other part of it. Like with this conversation, like a lot of the people that wanted him out last year would have done it for waivers or a 6th round pick. They were like, whatever, we've got better guys.
But is value too high a problem?
Well, it's a problem if you want to re-sign him, and it's a problem if you're not in the playoffs. And then that is the situation that we're at. Like
that's what I mean from a trading perspective. If you don't think that this guy, like from a trading perspective, I mean, if you're getting would a 2nd round pick be unbelievable at this point, or do you think
way low?
So that's way low. So
to me, in my opinion,
way low. So you're talking first or bust, like first plus pieces, because way low from a 2nd round pick is a 1st round pick plus.
Yeah.
So is that where we're at right now? Is that because if that's the case, why aren't you trading him?
I mean, when you consider, all of his intangibles, the size, what he's doing offensively, the season that he's had, along with the fact that there's no contractual responsibility, the opportunity to re-sign him if you like him. And I thought Pagnotta, who was on earlier today, made a great point that we don't think about enough. There's one thing about really expensive players and working. There's a huge value to contending teams for a player that's making just over $1 million. Like, they don't have to do anything to get him into the lineup. So I think that increases the value as well. The guy is such a unique player when you compare to what else will be on the market at this time that, I think, and here's the question for the Jets. Like, you can go and get a 1st round pick. The bottom line is if that 1st round pick would presumably be from a playoff team, which is probably in the bottom half. And as we've seen often, certainly with Winnipeg picking in the bottom half of the 1st round, there are no guarantees. Now, some people will argue, listen, these are lottery tickets and you need more of them to assure yourselves that you hit a few of them. But if you have a player that was a 1st rounder that's turned into a guy that's making a difference right now for you, some would say you don't move off that. You keep that and try and build with it. So I'm with you. Like, I don't have an answer.
He's not a big ticket even at 5, right? Even at 5, he's not a big ticket. He's not the,
Yeah. No, we're not talking about 8x8 or anything right now. But it does not surprise me that this is something that is just nonstop conversation piece amongst Winnipeg Jet fans, because
it's also tough. We never even talked about that. And I know fighting is less and less these days, but a team like the Jets, every team in the NHL needs someone like that to make everyone feel a little bit taller. And Logan Stanley is seemingly getting tougher, it seems.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, who's the other guy on this team that does that? Adam Lowry.
You can't be asking him to do that.
No,
as much.
And Luke Shen. And to me, I mean, we haven't even talked about Elias Salmonson's play last night. I think he clearly shows that he's capable and ready to play right now. And to me, when Pionk comes back, I mean, if you have Stanley and you have Lowry in the lineup, I don't know why this team needs Luke Schenn. I mean, you talk about leadership and all that. Well, they were the last place team in the league with him playing somewhat regularly throughout the year. And
you're not gonna be happy until Schenn's out of here, eh?
No, well, put it this way. I mean, out of the starting lineup, I mean, like as I say, I think they've got better players. If they want to win games, like if they're tanking and you're just kind of trying to throw guys to win, well, yeah, then like that's where that sort of got you.
Sure.
I thought Elias was so smooth, confident, played almost 19 minutes last night, focused in on a couple of the shifts, and he's ready. He's ready for a hell of a lot more time in the National Hockey League. And if we're here talking about the present, but also the future, I mean, giving this guy NHL experience and minutes right now, I think helps him. But I'll make the argument that it helps the team on the ice right now as well.
Well, they could use all the help they can get on the blue line right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets weren't trying to acquire a defenseman. You know, it's one thing to be day to day and figure it out. They're pretty confident in saying week to week with them. And so that's not like 1 or 2 weeks usually. That's usually a bit longer. So, you know, I could see the Jets being interested in that. And just another, I know we switched to Solomon, and I agree with you. I think we, even though these stats didn't bore it out, I mean, and he was on for a couple goals, some of which he was directly responsible for. You are seeing that. And it makes you wonder, Huss, like what the plan was for this year, right? Like they thought they had this group locked down. Like, Solomon wasn't part of the plans. And now it almost feels like they're forced to use them, right? And that's been a good thing. And I think maybe this team needs to be forced to do things because, I've been thinking a lot about the farm and the lack of prospects that the Jets have had. And to be quite frank, some of the drafting that this team was essentially, celebrated for early on and has given them their leadership core today, the picks haven't been great. Now, I know they've gotten rid of some of their high picks over years to try to go for long playoff runs. And that's what good teams try to do. But, none of the guys are seeming to hit. And I think that's been an issue with Winnipeg too. But obviously, Solomon and even back to Stanley for a comment on him is, you want to keep guys who you chose, right? Like there's something, there's some, and I think that works two ways. I think I'll be interested to see what Logan Stanley's interest is. I know, he requested a trade or, early on or maybe a couple of years ago or whatever. That was about as calm a trade request as you're going to get, right? Because he was just saying, I just want to play. Exactly. Like this was an agent who was doing his job, not demanding his player leave town. So, I'd be interested to see what Logan Stanley's headspace is. Obviously he enjoys playing with guys like Mark Scheifele and enjoys being in Winnipeg and the group here. I wonder what his interest will be. I wonder if he's, because I've talked to a lot of people, scouts, other people who say it's not always greener, somewhere else. And it's really great to be in a place where you're wanted, where you can see where you fit in. And right now he's playing some of his best hockey, right? I mean, you can go sign a big contract, but you go to a new city, you go play with a new group of new group of players. There's an adjustment there for you and your family. Logan has a kid, obviously. So, that's an adjustment and those adjustments in your life can affect your game. So if you like how you're playing now and you like how, like the team you're playing for and you feel like you for the first time, maybe ever feel like you have a place on this blue line rotation, it'll be interesting to see what those negotiations are because it'll be interesting, Huss, if it's the Logan Stanley, that's the one that really puts the Jets in a position to overpay where they've gotten some pretty good team-friendly deals in the past from, obviously much better players.
No, I mean, listen, the one thing that is indisputable is that this dude's getting a big raise from somebody. And
good for him.
I'm not sure if there's ever been a player in Jets 2.0 history that has had better timing with a breakout in a contract year than what he's doing right now. You got to run. Hacksaw's coming up right away. Just quickly on the way out, wanted to get your thoughts on what came out of the CFL meetings, and in particular, the decision that we're doing the 35-second clock, but from 3 minutes on, we're going back to what we used to do. Was that sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
I think that was compromise, Huss, because, a lot of the people, including, all I believe on the rules committee were not given a heads up, right? They were only really given like a last second, meeting before the news was released hours later. So nobody really had any say. And obviously guys like Mike O'Shea, head coach for the Bombers, he's on the rules committee. He was pretty vocal about it. And so in this case, I think it's a compromise. I do think that the CFL would have wanted them to adopt it. I mean, there's arguments to be made. I've seen it's all over social media about what that clock does in the final 3 minutes. Everyone knows how exciting the CFL can be with that 20-second clock in the final 3 minutes, how teams can come back from seemingly impossible leads, which is great. But it's the other side of the argument, of course, is that it's not creative football. It's there's so much time that sometimes teams wait for that time of the game to kind of, get their opportunity to come back. So, to me, I don't really have any feeling about it, but as an overall decision, this to me is that they put their heels in this meeting and kind of push back, not just because they enjoy the final 3 minutes, which is certainly true. And again, is one of the most exciting parts of the game. I also think it was their way of, hey, hold on here for a second. You were on the job for months and you changed our game drastically. We're going to push back and we're going to, maybe die on this hill right now. There's always the opportunity for them to change this in the future. They already have that 35-second clock being instilled next season. They could easily just, in a press release, share that they're staying that in for the final 3 minutes. But I think during this, from a CFL benefit, even though I believe they would want to keep the 35-second clock, I do think it tempers some of that major change to fans. We've seen some fans at least threaten that they're not going to come back because of some of these changes. I think that might be a win for them, and therefore, again, a compromise from the CFL, even though personally I don't have, too much of an opinion of it, but, I can see both ways. We'll see how it plays out, but it is a little bit different to me to have a clock set, and then all of a sudden in the final 3 minutes, it's like, oh, we're actually going to go to a 20-second clock, and we're not going to whistle it in for a certain amount of time, and then it's going to go. So that's the other part of this, Huss. They've informed the officials to be on the ball, right? Like I almost felt like the officials dragged their feet, like it was the WWE, and they needed some crazy finish. This time it's going to be like, okay, get the ball in. We're not giving teams an extra, 20 something seconds on top of the 20-second clock. Get them, let's see this final drill, get moving, and they'll set the clock in probably sooner than we've seen in the past, but it will still be at that 20 seconds most off the clock.
Well, we'll have lots of CFL stuff to talk about as we get closer to free agency, and our countdown is on. What is it? We're like 10 days away from taking off to Costa Rica. Cannot wait. And especially,
I feel like I'm already there, my friend. It's in my dreams at night and my daydreams during the day.
I can even get through daytime highs of -24, knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Just barely, but still.
Have a great weekend, pal. I will talk to you next week, and we'll very soon we'll be getting ready to roll. Appreciate it as always.
Have a great weekend. Shout out to all the listeners out there. Have a great one, safe one, but a great one nonetheless. Take care.
All right, great stuff from the Hammer, and great stuff from the chat. The chat never disappoints. It is hot and heavy in the WST community today for our daily Logan Stanley discussion after a goal that was, an absolute jaw dropper last night. Stan, I'm sure, will be back in the lineup tomorrow. Stay tuned to Winnipeg Sports Talk social channels tomorrow, post-morning skate, for our Clean Line lines, brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years for the best in plumbing, heating, and electrical services. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience. And for all of you, while you won't want to make this call, if you have to, Clean Line's there for you with 24/7 emergency services. Keep the number handy, 204-500-2001. You can find out more on all of Clean Line services, both residential and commercial, online at cleanline.ca. Wouldn't imagine there'll be any changes to the lineup tomorrow afterwards. So the Clean Line lines will likely be Connor Scheifele, Aliafalo, Perfetti, Taze Velarde, Niederreiter, Lowry, Nemetsnikov, Koepke, Barron, Pearson. I thought Koepke was awesome last night. And then Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg with Elias Salmonson, and Big Stan with Big Luke Shen. Would expect Hellebuck to get the call tomorrow, but of course we'll have that on the socials after Connor finishes up at the morning skate as well. Hey, looking for a great spot this weekend to watch the National Football League and the Jets. If you don't have a ticket to the game, make it your local Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, firing it up for the NFL with great prizes at all Boston Pizza locations, and of course, ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and the big game on all the big screens with sound. Make it BP this weekend for NFL playoffs, and if you're staying at home, you can order online at bostonpizza.com. I was talking to Greg from Royal last night. They have so much going on right now heading out of the holidays as we get into the Olympics. The snowboard department has been absolutely bananas for the last number of weeks. People getting ready to hit the hills this year. Obviously, hockey's booming, fan gear as well, and so much more. But with the Olympics just around the corner, Olympic jerseys, Olympic shirts, hoodies, hats, toques. Get ready to back the red and white and Team Canada in Italy. Head on down to Royal Sports and get your Olympic gear and Team Canada merch just in time for both the Olympic Games and, of course, the World Cup coming up later on this summer. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Hit them up online or on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Hacksaw's ready to go. First up, though, he'll always tell you it's Beer Friday. So let's give a big cheers to our favorite beer and favorite local brewery here in the Peg, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we're going to talk a little football. Lots of coaching openings. We got some playoff games on the weekend where the stakes are high. And we got some big news in baseball. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton joins us now. Saw, great to have you on the program. Listen, before we dive into the NFL scene, the Dodgers do it again. $60 million a year for Kyle Tucker for 4 years. At what point is this not good for the majors?
It's great to talk to you, Hustler, and hello to the O Canada Network. I mean, this is really stunning. Dodger payroll as of lunchtime today is now at like $403 million. The Dodger luxury tax bill is $187 million for this coming season. At the end of the day, they have the resources. They've got corporate ownership. They lead the world in attendance. The arrival of Ohtani and Yamamoto and Sasaki have led to just unbelievable corporate advertising from Pacific Rim companies. I mean, the Dodgers are printing dollar bills in the hallway, and until something comes along vis-a-vis a salary cap and a floor to spending, they're not breaking the law. They're not doing anything illegal. The thing is that nobody can compete with them. So part of it's offensive, but part of it is just good business because of the market they're in. At the end of the day, when the Yankees and Mets and the Red Sox are whining about what the Dodgers are doing, and those teams used to be the evil empire, yeah, the Dodgers have really had an impact on baseball. I don't think it's good for the collective well-being of the sport. I think that's what owners need to consider. And the problem is across the street, Tony Clark, the head of the Players Association, who lives here in San Diego where I live and based, he does not want to have any type of conversation on the salary cap. And at the end of the day, history in sports is when you have competitive balance in all the markets, you have a better product. And history says the NFL is great because it has a hard cap and a floor to spending, as does the NBA, and more recently what Gary Bettman and the union did in the NHL. If baseball would find a middle ground to do this, I think it'd make it better, because I think it's grossly unfair to have a Dodgers with a payroll of $403 million today and the Miami Marlins and Tampa Bay and the Sacramento Athletics having a payroll of 68 or 80 million. That's not good for the overall balance of the sport. I hate to say we're going to have a work stoppage after 2026, but I think it's going to be a bloody civil war before we're going to kind of come to some middle ground. They have to come to a middle ground. Dodgers aren't doing anything illegally. Unions signed off on all those deferred payments and opt-outs and all that. But I just don't think it's good for the sport. Maybe I'm in the minority. You tell me. You're a fan.
Oh, hey, listen. I mean, I would love to see, us start the season with more than a handful of teams with a realistic chance to win. Now, I mean, the Jays were way down the odds board last year, and they were so close to winning. So, and we have seen some lower teams. But the bottom line is there's 10 teams that are going to play opening day and are going to be pretty much be out of it 2 weeks later. And that's not healthy for the sport, without a doubt. But
here's the stat for you, Hustler. As of lunchtime today, the Dodgers' luxury tax bill, which is in 180 millions, just the luxury tax bill, is more than 16 teams' payrolls this year. How about
half
that?
The league. That's more than half the league. It's wild. By the way, the other big news today, we touched on it off the top. Bo Bichette, after the Mets whiffed on Tucker, Bo goes there. Only a 3-year deal, but the AAV, $42 million. Jay's still looking to spend a little bit more money on remaining free agents out there. Let's get to the NFL, Lee. And before we get to the playoffs, one of the most fascinating coaching carousel seasons I can remember in a long time. Let's start off with the two big names. Mike Tomlin, why the end of the road in Pittsburgh in the fashion that it did, and then, of course, John Harbaugh, another veteran coach with the Super Bowl win, moving on to try to add some legitimacy to the New York Giants franchise that has fallen so low.
Well, reaction in Pittsburgh, there's a little bit of sadness to this. I will tell you, in the big scheme of things, I had an NFL general manager tell me this week, we'll never ever see this again. This is the last of a lifetime opportunity. He's referencing guys who are in one place for 18 or 19 years, have the enormous success, maybe Super Bowl and Hall of Fame credentials that Tomlin and Harbaugh had, and stepping away from the game or being removed from the game or removed from their jobs. I had this executive tell me, I don't think we'll ever see guys with this type of length of service ever again in the league. In terms of Pittsburgh, there's lots of emotions. It ran the whole spectrum, I think, this week. I think a lot of people are very sad that it ended this way for Tomlin. Tomlin elected to step away on his own. He was not fired. Art Rooney was going to bring him back, but he needed a break. I was told from insiders that Tomlin was really emotionally hurt, that he got booed and treated as badly as he did by Steeler fans at that stadium over the last half of the season. But what needs to change in Pittsburgh is just not a head coaching change. I'm strongly of the opinion they need to move into the 21st century in terms of how they run their operation. And that means organizationally what they do in terms of acquisitions offensively. Because they're running an offense that's kind of pedestrian, kind of Neanderthal. They've never solved the quarterback thing since Roethlisberger stepped away. They don't have the skilled people that everybody else around the league seems to be craving and stockpiling. So I think administratively, Pittsburgh has to do something different in terms of different acquisitions of player personnel. Tomlin's not going to coach anywhere. He does not want to talk to anybody. I think he's going to wind up on TV for a year. He may just love TV and become the next Bill Cowher. So that's a little bit sad. But Pittsburgh has to look at itself in the mirror and change what they're doing. In terms of Harbaugh, that was loyalty. That was him saying, I'm not making coaching staff changes when it was evident there were communication problems there. And then the owner saying, okay, you gave us 19 great years or 18 great years and 193 wins. We're going to make a coaching change. And he accepted that. And he goes forward to the New York Giants. He walks into a great situation. They'll get this contract done. I think there's a little bit of discussion about delineation of power, who's going to make what decisions. He's bringing virtually his entire Baltimore staff with him. And the unique thing is, you've probably heard me say this phrase before. Some of these coaching jobs are like 3 Mile Island, Hustler. You walk in there and there's nothing left and nobody around because it's toxic. That's not the New York Giants. They got a quarterback, they got 2 running backs, they got 3 wide receivers, and they got a great defensive front. And now you're going to bring Harbaugh's style, his demands, to that team. And by the way, that team's record, get this, 44 and 104 over the last 9 years. So they need new vision, new leadership, and they're going to get it with John Harbaugh coming in the door. But it's really been a strange feel. You have 2 great coaches either moved out or fired or stepped aside, is what happened in Baltimore, what happened in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, Lee, it's a great point. I mean, 2 iconic coaches that went head-to-head for so long will both be in different places this year. There's a bunch of other openings. What are we hearing about some of the hot names on the market and potential landing spots?
You know, there's still 8 openings, which is just absolutely stunning. A year ago this time, you said, well, who's going to fill those 8 openings? I'll tell you, this cross-section of names that I'm going to post on your bulletin board, we've not seen this in the league in a long time. I would think the hottest guy is Kevin Stefanski, and he's being talked to by a whole bunch of teams. He got 6 different interviews. Why? Because he's a quarterback guru coach with great X's and O's ability. He was sidetracked and derailed in Cleveland by the ownership mess with the Deshaun Watson contract decision. I think Stefanski might be hired next. The next one is Mike McDaniel, and this is really weird because it ended really badly in Miami, but I don't think it was so much on McDaniel's X's and O's as it was just to his hand strap. I think by Tua Tagovailoa and the ongoing problems with the deterioration of the skills of Tyreek Hill. McDaniel's interviewed, I think, for 4 different head jobs and 3 other offensive coordinators' jobs, so he's going to get hired. The weird one in the equation is Mike McCarthy, ex-Packer Cowboy coach, great track record, resume, portfolio, has only 1 interview, and that's in Tennessee. And he's interviewing, I think it's Sunday. It may well be the general consensus is maybe time has passed McCarthy by. I don't know how that's possible. He's only been out of the league 1 year. But those are the veteran hot guys. Now, I'm going to run some names by your coordinators. Keep an eye. Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator, Chargers. Prior to that, defensive coordinator, Michigan, all with Harbaugh. He's got interviews with all 8 teams that have vacancies. He's going to get his choice, and his X's and O's are just really, really impressive. Kubiak up in Seattle, who is a journeyman assistant coach, got to the Seahawks and then became a bright light and has done phenomenal things with Darnold. I bet he gets hired as soon as the Seahawks are out of the playoffs. And the one that a lot of people don't know is the defensive coordinator up in Green Bay, Jeff Hafley. I think he's got 4 interviews now. And of course, the Packers got knocked out last week. So those are what I'd call the hot coordinators. And the third tier are guys that probably are going to be revisited that deserve second chances. Raheem Morris, despite the mess in Atlanta, he might wind up maybe in Arizona. Great defensive credentials. What he needs is a good offensive coordinator to go with him. Robert Saleh, San Francisco's interviewing a couple of different places. He could wind up maybe in Miami. Vance Joseph has rebuilt the Denver defense. We're going to talk about that in a second. He's also rebuilt his resume. He could wind up possibly in Arizona. Jim Schwartz, who had been in Detroit, if you recall that, years ago, and has done great jobs as a coordinator. Cleveland's bringing him back. He's the only one they're bringing back for a second interview. He was their defensive coordinator. He's a firebrand. He's kind of built off the Dan Campbell tree. So that's going to be interesting. The weird one that's not gotten as much play as I thought he would be is Brian Flores in Minnesota. He just may be a lifetime defensive coordinator, and maybe people of the opinion, well, he had his chance, didn't work out.
He's also suing the league. Well, 4 teams.
True, but he's not got as many interviews as they thought he would, but now he's been out of that head coaching loop for a group of years, so it may well be that that's an issue. So that's where we are with the hot guys, and there's 3 different layers of hot guys. It's fascinating. We've got so many what I think are really qualified guys. There's 8 jobs still open. Wow.
Hey, Lee, in your opinion, of the jobs that are open, what's the best one?
Well, you could say Baltimore, just because you got Lamar Jackson and you got Derrick Henry. Then you look at the component of your roster and you say the New York Football Giants, despite the fact that's been a disaster. Philosophically, Hustler, and it's a great question. When a coach goes to an interview, he's interviewing the ownership too. You know, they're not just interviewing him about X's and O's and philosophy and how you run your operation. He looks at them and says, is this good ownership? Is this bad ownership? Do you have a quarterback? Don't you have a quarterback? What the hell's your roster look like? What do you got stockpiled in terms of draft picks, salary caps, etc.? You know, if you take the Raider Nation, for example, that thing's horrible because they've hardly got any players at all, but they got a ton of cap space, and they got 11 draft picks, and they got Tom Brady now has kind of moved a chair, and suddenly he's got a lot more input. So coaches evaluating owners, am I going to work for a really good organization, aka the Maras and the Tishes with the New York Football Giants, or am I going to go work for a disaster, Mark Davis or Bidwell, Raiders or Arizona? It's fascinating when you talk to coaches kind of off the record how this whole background thing works.
You know, the Raider job to me is so intriguing in that you mentioned the draft capital they have. They have the number 1 pick overall. You know, I was at that game, that Week 18 game there in Vegas, and I was walking out. Raider fans were chanting Mendoza for Fernando Mendoza, who's part of this historic Indiana team. It got me thinking, Lee. Kurt Cignetti's done a historic job with Indiana. They're in the national championship game on Monday. Is there any talk about him potentially going to the NFL? And could you see a package deal where Cignetti gets the Raiders job and then picks his quarterback first overall?
The only problem I have with that, you're a freaking fan. The only problem I have with that, Hustler, is the Raiders are always gone for the name in neon lights. And has it really ever worked out? You know, I gave you that statistic last week. They've not won a playoff game since 2002.
Hey, I'm here for it. You know me.
Okay, So, I mean, their composite record since Mark Davis took over the team is 131 wins and 242 losses. Think about that incompetence. They've not won a playoff game since 2002. Do you know how long ago that was? And that's because Al Davis and Mark Davis always went for the name and shiny lights. Well, a lot of that stuff has not worked out. So maybe Brady will bring a semblance of structure there. I mean, I'm disappointed and shocked that they fired Pete Carroll because I think he's a hell of a guy. And he walked into a mess, and then it got worse and worse as they went. I wish they had just stayed the course and just let him rebuild it with Brady and Carroll and this next wave of players. But to get to the Cignetti question, I don't think so. He is where he is, and he's got himself a great situation. And why would you want to go work for somebody like that?
If anything, just, you know, I think the job he's done speaks for itself. I mean, the NFL is the best league in the world, and he obviously has done great things with Mendoza. And the thought of going there, to me, that's an intriguing comment. Like, I kind of have fallen in love with this Mendoza guy, watching his interviews. I mean, he's as charming as they come, wins the Heisman Trophy. I don't really want to think of him as the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, but he'll probably be that. And obviously, you know, they've got a pretty good connection. Anyways, let's get to these games quickly before we run out. Final 8, 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Lee, give us your thoughts on these matchups on the weekend and who will survive to the conference championship games.
So let's just start in the AFC at Foxborough. Houston goes in there to play New England. I was so impressed with what Drake May did against a really good Charger defense. They stayed at it, looked ugly. All of a sudden, they were scoring touchdowns, controlling tempo, getting field goals, and getting scores. They won that game. May's got over 5,100 all-purpose yards this season and 36 touchdowns. But that being said, across the line of scrimmage, they got the Tasmanian Devil defensive front. That Houston front pass rush is unbelievable. They now have 53 sacks and 31 takeaways. But it's in Foxborough. I got to believe it may be hard for Drake May early, but they'll just keep pecking at it. The one intangible, I don't know if I can trust C.J. Stroud.
He didn't look good in Pittsburgh.
Well, he's had these stretches of games where he's terrible in terms of concentration, focus, mistakes, dropping balls. Where the hell are you throwing into coverage? Now, granted, they're living off that great defense. So that matchup's going to be good. I just think that New England finds a way in Foxborough to win. The other one, Buffalo at Denver. I mean, the Orange Crush defense is unbelievable. 68 sacks, 29 takeaways, 31% conversion rate on third downs. I've been quoting these numbers every week, and they just keep winning, especially at home. A little bit worried about Bo Nix because Bo can be really dynamic and then Bo can be really erratic. And his last couple games, he's been kind of skitterish again, like he was at the onset of the season. Of course, they're coming off a bye here. So that's a challenge. As for the Bills, that's all things Josh Allen. That's Superman. And as good as Denver's defense is, that is Superman in a cape. Josh Allen's responsible for 42 touchdowns. The most unique aspect will be, can that defensive front in Denver and blitzing the run lanes, can they take James Cook out of the equation and make it strictly a one-dimension game? But the other aspect is Bill's defense has only given up 293 yards per game, and Joey Bosa on that side, where the pass rush is healthy, are they going to screw up the rhythm of Bo Nix? This is a really fascinating game. I'm going to call an upset. I'm going to take Buffalo to win in Denver. Over on the NFC side, I'd be really worried about the story that just broke yesterday afternoon, that suddenly that quarterback has got an oblique problem up in Seattle. And it's the wrong time of the year to get dinged. And if he's not 100%, does that detract then for everything they're trying to get done with Darnold in this offense? But the flip side of that is Brock Purdy started to turn the ball over a lot for the 49ers. I think he's got 13 turnovers now in 10 games, and people are blitzing the hell out of him. And I just wonder if San Francisco's physically and emotionally spent. They really had to fight and claw to get to the playoffs, and then all the cross-country trips, the short game prep. I think Seattle's defense is rugged. A little bit concerned, though, about the injury, obviously, to Sam Darnold. I still think Seattle's got enough to win this and move on. Rams, Chicago, what a great matchup. You got the great veteran Matthew Stafford. He's got 49 touchdowns. You got Caleb Williams having a dynamic year with the new coach. And then you got the weather. Wind chill by late Sunday afternoon is going to be 2 below. Stafford's played a lot in that. Caleb Williams has hardly played in that at all. And quarterbacks and coaches will tell you in the league, and have done this for a long time, you can play in rain, you can play in snow. Yeah, it's challenging. I'll tell you what, you can't throw the damn ball in wind. And they say 15 to 20 mile an hour winds in Chicago and a wind chill of -2. What's that going to do to your deep passing game? San Francisco, I think, has got more firepower, much more experience. Obviously, Chicago's got the weatherman on their side and a little bit of home field advantage. But I'm picking the Rams. Unless Stafford self-destructs, I'm picking the Rams to win it. So I got Rams, Seattle, and I got Buffalo pulling off an upset to go face New England.
That last game is going to be so fascinating with the weather. And by the way, for Canadians, that's -2 Fahrenheit. I mean, we're talking like, -18, -20. And of course, that's a wet cold right off the lake there in Chi-Town. Matthew Stafford apparently is going to be wearing a scuba suit for the game. I don't know. And Caleb Williams' name is the Iceman, Lee. I don't know. I think this Bears team is special. I think that's going to be a close one. I'm going to take the Bears to cover. I think it'll be a real tight game.
You're going to be. I want a frosted glass when you buy me the 1919s to pay off the bet.
I do like your Bills pick, though. Hard to go against Josh Allen. He is Superman. We all know what the kryptonite is, and that kryptonite is back at home in Kansas City, who taking care of a knee. So I believe 4 of his 5 playoff losses are to Patrick Mahomes. This is the year, but he is going to have to do a lot of it himself because Denver's going to be a heck of a team. Lee, great stuff as always. Awesome chat. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and I know there'll be lots throughout the weekend, especially on Monday as we get down to the Final Four, and there'll be more teams alive for the Super Bowl, or there'll be less teams alive for the Super Bowl than there will be job openings for head coaching spots around the league.
Yeah, well, the coaching carousel is really spinning. We didn't get time to chat about it, but, there's been a massive shakeup of big-name coordinators. The Chargers just fired their offensive coordinator and their offensive line coach. And this quarterback here, Justin Herbert, who's getting hammered by the fans and the media unfairly, he's been sacked 105 times in the last 2 years, and he's still standing. But at the end of the day, that coaching change, Kansas City, I don't know if you've gotten wind of this, Patrick Mahomes has said, we need creativity to your offense. And Andy Reid has just sacked quarterback coach, wide receiver coach, running back coach, and he's probably going to lose his offensive coordinator. So some real changes are happening in your backyard who you root for. Kansas City. And Philadelphia just fired its offensive coordinator. So there's some other transactions here that are going to really bear watching.
Philly should take Sirianni with them, and I'm hoping that Matt Nagy just gets one of these head coaching jobs and they don't have to fire him. But I don't think he'll be back. And I'll tell you what, if Mike McDaniel does not get a head coaching job, would love to see him working with Patrick Mahomes and KC. I think that would be great. Lee, have an awesome weekend. Thanks as always.
Great sports weekend to the O Canada Network. We'll talk to you again. Thanks, Hustler, as always.
LeeHacksawHamilton.com is where you'll find the website. And, of course, check out the YouTube channel and make sure to give Hacksaw a sub. All right, let's get Remis in here. We got to do some cool bet lines and then get to some marbles. We'll do a quick last call for marbles. I know most of you are in. If you're new to the channel, you're wondering what the hell's going on in the chat. Why is everyone putting in exclamation mark marbles? Just follow along. Put in exclamation mark marbles. We'll have the marble race coming up in a few minutes. Reem, where are you at on these NFL playoff games this week as we head over to the cool bet lines?
NFL, they're going to ask where I'm at on the topic of the week, Logan Stanley, which we can't seem to stop discussing. But
Winnipeg Stan Talk.
Because we're now Winnipeg WST, Winnipeg Stan Talk, right here. Got it on my shirt. As far as NFL, it's funny. The Broncos seem kind of fraudulent as a number one seed. Seahawks, what version of Sam Darnold are we going to see? I know this George Kittle injury not going to be great for blocking for San Francisco. He's a pretty good receiver as well. But, Sam Darnold, he had such a great regular season, was it last year with Minnesota, and did not go well. The 49ers defense is not great, but I think they're going to put up a bigger fight than the spread would indicate. I think you'd go with Josh Allen over the Bo Nix here with the Broncos. I'll go with Matt Stafford and the Rams. And maybe the Patriots get it done. I think Mike Vrabel dialed up some serious stuff on their defense against Justin Herbert last week. Now they don't have much of an O-line, as Lee just mentioned. They were getting sacked a ton. But interested to see the Patriots, how they fare. So we do 4 pretty good games. That's how I'm feeling about these ones.
Heading over to Cool Bet, here's the way the lines are shaking out right now. Broncos -1. But this is a money line game. Bills are basically even money, -101. The Broncos are -116 over at Cool Bet. I have seen a 6.5 elsewhere, but it's pretty steady at 7 for the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle 7-point favorites at -110. The Niners +7 at -108. Seattle -333 on the money line. Sunday's games. Houston and New England, the Patriots are a 3-point favorite at -114. If you do like the Texans and you want the half point, you can adjust it to 3.5 and it's -125. That's kind of what I put in on some parlays. I really do think that the Texans defense travels well. This is going to be an incredible test for Drake May. CJ Stroud is going to have to step up and be way better with the football than he was against Pittsburgh. But I do think that they'll be able to do that. I think this will be a 3-point game. I'm going to be getting on that Houston, but I am going to get that half point. And then the Rams-Bears game is fascinating. I was pulling up the Chicago weather earlier, and I've got it back up here right now. So Sunday, it is going down to -18, feels like -30 on the overnight. But even in the evening, -6, feeling like -14, and wind of 32 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50. So this is like the LA Rams playing in Southern California in that dome. They're not used to this. Now, Matt Stafford's had some big snow games. You remember what he did in Philly, with the Rams. But I don't know, man. There's something about this Bears team. And if Caleb Williams is really going to be called the Iceman, this is a perfect opportunity to cement him as that dude with the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take the points with the Bears. It's right now -108 for +3.5. If you go to +4.5, only -123. I've got a couple parlays in with Texans +3.5 and Bears +4.5 if you're putting together. Of course, we've got a lot that we cranked out today from WST winners. Myself, Jake, Connor got involved in it on it. Check out the divisional round parlay. We're taking the Bills on the money line and those two adjusted numbers I just mentioned, Texans plus 3.5, Bears plus 4.5. And the boys have taken care of us with a nice boost. I'm going to bet this right now while we're talking about it. Plus 548, boosted to plus 640. So we can ride with me that. We've got a touchdown parlay scorer where all four of us, myself, Jake, Pat, and Connor, all picked one. We got Josh Allen to score. We've got JSN to score for the Seahawks. And then Devontae Adams and Colston Loveland in the Bears-Rams game. That one plus 2342. Check the exclusives as well for a player prop parlay that we put together, all with a nice boost over at CoolBet. Tonight in the NHL, there are 5 games. The Panthers are in Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. Canes a minus 175 favorite. Sharks got that win last night against Washington. Don't like that. If you're still hanging on to Jets playoff hopes, you want the Sharks to lose. They're in a wild card spot right now. They're plus 153. Detroit minus 182. Will be riding with the Wings. The Lightning never lose. They're in St. Louis. I think they've won 11 in a row. Let's see them make it 12 tonight, minus 196 on the money line. And the Predators are in Colorado to take on the Avalanche. Avalanche puck line tonight's the play, minus 1.5 at minus 122. They're minus 323 in the money line. Late game, Ducks and Kings going at it at crypto.com. Kings minus 143 faves. Ducks plus 121. Again, good 45 minutes or so of NFL talk, picks, and more in WST winners. It's up on the channel. Check it out at your convenience. Remo, only one way to finish off a wonderful week. And it has been a really fun week with some wins. We hadn't had a lot of those in a while. The Jackets returned in the Jet dressing room. And we've had 5 full days of Winnipeg Stan talk on WST.
Yeah, well, I imagine with the trade deadline coming up, we're already hearing the Rangers, Chris Drury, with that letter signaling their intentions to, what was the phrasing? Retool? Well, he said they're not signing Panarin. And
white flag.
So they're done. On the Jets, they're far out of it, so we'll have to see if they can win Saturday, win Monday, maybe win Tuesday as well, and still they're going to be a number of points back from either wild card spot. So yes, I imagine we'll have a lot of trade deadline discussion. What should the Jets do? What can they get back? That should be very exciting. We haven't really been on this side of that type of discussion for a while, Huss.
Well, the goal of the players is to win enough hockey games so that, we're not talking about just getting rid of everybody and getting picks and prospects and still playing for something this season. First things first, beat the Leafs tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Canada Life Center. Should be a real fun one in the building. All right, let's do some marbles. Before we drop the course and load everything in, let's fire it up and get it going with a little Tristan Rivers music here on WST.
Okay, I got to pick. Should I pick the theme? I think I did the standard one the other day, right? I
think you did the yacht rock one last time.
Oh, did I? That's a good one too. I like the yacht rock one.
What about the GNR one?
Yeah, that is the best one.
Maybe an ice cream cake or a bottle of high.
That one is absolutely epic. That was so good.
There's a couple Easter eggs in there. I do like it has me tossing Oleg over the top rope, and I guess they can just put me with the Axl Rose headband and sunglasses. Oh, and hair. And hair here. I never noticed this. Look at it. Look at that. That's awesome. I like that.
Excuse me. That was amazing. Yes, that's a banger. Is everyone Tristan low-key rules? Not even low-key. He's start at the front. Yes, nice call, guys, on the TRM. Banger for sure. So good. People absolutely loving it. There's Candace as well. Shout out to Candace for her visual greatness in putting the hair, bandana, and glasses on Remis's thing. All right. Throw me in all caps. What do we got here for today, and where are we going?
Oh, did we do the power poll? I got the graphic ready,
yes. Sorry, we got so into the NFL with Lee. We have to drop it. We're going to be changing the Friday power polls moving forward because we're only going to be down to 5 teams. But as we go into the divisional round of the playoffs, here's the up-to-date Chud's Power Sports NFL Power Poll, brought to you by Chud's Power Sports. Make sure to check them out in Gimli, Highway 8 and 231. And check out their new website at chudspowersports.com. Top right corner, click on e-commerce store for all those great deals that you'll find on clearance gear and accessories at True North Parts. And check out the great deals on the snow event right now, as everyone gets back to hit the trails for snow day deals with Polaris. All right, I'm giving the Seahawks the number 1 seed and the number 1 spot on the power poll. 14-3, biggest favorite on the board this week. I know Sam Darnold's a little banged up, but the defense speaks for itself. Seattle number 1. I will give the Rams the nod at number 2. Kind of thought that the strength of the league was at the top of the NFC all year long. They survived Carolina, but with the Eagles being out, with San Fran being a big underdog, we're going to go with the Rams at 2. Now, I'm giving the nod to the Buffalo Bills at 3 based on Josh Allen. Josh Allen, best quarterback left in the AFC side of things, but to me, it's very, very close. Of course, they're, a 1-point dog to the Denver Broncos. I'll believe it when I see it from the Broncos in the playoffs. Buffalo, on account of Josh Allen, gets number 3. And I will ride with the New England Patriots ahead of Denver, but Denver's on that list. I could make an argument for the Houston Texans. I just thought their offense didn't look good enough last week. And, of course, the Chicago Bears are going to have something to say about it. I think they can win against the Rams. But right now, it's Seahawks, Rams, Bills, Patriots, and Broncos. That is our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll, brought to you by Chud's up in Gimli, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore for 80 years. Check them out online at chudspowersports.com. And I was talking to the Derminator earlier this week via email, and he mentioned how much he and the gang have been enjoying the WST Sunday Live Power Poll. Connor and Liz have been doing a great job. Don't forget to tune in to check out what they've got cooking Sunday morning at 9 a.m. coming out of the Jets-Leafs game on Saturday night. All right, let's do some marbles.
Yeah, I got to get this list together here. A couple people giving a shout out to Rick Bonus at the end of the week. Has Blue Jackets 3-0 since the coaching change. Incredible stuff happening there. And I did tune in for the crazy Vegas-Toronto game last night after the Jets game. Pretty awesome. William Nylander got banged up in that one. Now, I think they're traveling today. I haven't seen any updates, but curious what his status is going to be celebrating. It was the Bill Grammatica almost. Tweaked his knee, celebrating a goal. So that should be a great one tomorrow. Jets, Leafs, Jets on a heater. Leafs are on this road trip where they beat Colorado, lost to Utah, and tough loss to Vegas yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. For the record, Bones 2-0 as the head coach. He came in. He had his first win on Tuesday against Calgary, and then they beat Vancouver last night. Tomorrow, Bones will go to 3-0. Big game on the road against one of the teams they're chasing, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jets and Leafs tomorrow night. Looks like the Jets actually are favored in this one. Interesting. We don't have a cool bet line right now. ESPN's showing Jets minus 125, Toronto plus 105. That's interesting. Other big games tomorrow night. Kings, Ducks, Preds, Golden Knights, Oilers, Canucks, Bruins, and the Blackhawks. Blackhawks will then be hosting the Jets on Monday for Taves' return. Big game in the East between the Panthers and Capitals. Hurricanes, Devils should be good. Habs, Sens as part of Hockey Day in Canada. Kraken and the Mammoth. Islanders in Calgary to take on the Flames. Philly hosting the lowly Rangers at noon. And an early game tomorrow in Buffalo. The Wild against the red-hot Buffalo Sabres. So, big slate of games tomorrow. Hockey Day in Canada. The game that we are going to be locked in on. 6 o'clock start right here in the Peg, Canada Life Center. Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jets looking for 5 in a row.
Yes, I think they're on their way to 10 in a row, right? A lot of people on the WST Discord posting the Shoresy meme. We will never lose again. I'm not sure if you're a big Shoresy guy, but that was the line, in the first season there. So
I'm more of a heated rivalry guy personally, but I don't mind Shoresy.
I got my mom texting me about heated rivalry during the show. My wife was watching it.
I couldn't believe how many people last night around where I was hanging out after the game were talking about it. It does seem like it is a bit of full disclosure. I have not seen it. I've not seen it yet. I don't have the subscription. What is it on Crave?
It's on Crave, yeah.
But it is wild how much of a topic this show is. So if you've been watching it, if you've checked it out, if you've binged it already, let us know your thoughts. Anyways, let's get this marble race going. It's late.
Yes, I put Hustler in. We got 249 marbles, Jan 16. Okay, got it all ready to go.
Again, and by the way, folks, shout out Patience. Thanks to our last couple winners. With the exception of a couple sizes, we're very lean right now on the hoodies. I'm making arrangements to get more. We should have more kind of early to mid-Feb. So hang tight. Still let us know, if you win today, but it might be a little bit before pickup as we wait to refill them. Shout out to our friends at Shipham & Associates for their great support and the awesome hoodies for our Marbles champs. All right, where are we going today?
Okay, I went through. So I guess you know how we go to Temple of Steve often?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal with the name Steve is and marbles, but there's a lot of tracks with the name Steve in them, and they're all pretty good. So I tested this one.
Right on.
Called Crafty Steve Mine. It's got some Minecraft elements in there, but I liked it. I thought it was good.
Perfect. All right, well, let's fire it up. 249 marbles in today's race. And we're diving down the Steve rabbit hole of user-created tracks. This is Minecraft theme. Crafty Steve Mine. Good luck to everyone. May the best marble win. Let's drop them. All right. Is Evan into Minecraft?
No, we just got a Nintendo Switch. He's really into Mario Odyssey right now. Ripping. He's never played a Mario game. It's kind of fun to watch him experience Mario. You remember playing like Mario 1.
Oh my God.
Mario 2. This is like Mario now is pretty crazy.
Mario World. I mean, just the original.
Yeah. I was a big Mario 3 guy. That's my
favorite. I still like Donkey Kong. All-time great classic game. And of course, Mario Kart. There must be a Mario Kart for that Switch.
We did a family Mario Kart. Yeah, Nintendo Switch was a big Hanukkah gift this year. It's very exciting. Exciting for me too.
I was about to say, I need to get in on that. All right, how are we looking? Rob Wright, David Forster, Cigars for Everyone. All right at the start. Looks like David Forster has taken the lead. It's kind of a 3-horse race. Cigars for Everyone. Rob Wright really negotiating that last one well. Can he get through this one too? Yes, he does. He is in first. Oh, and look at this. Todd Fertani. He's excited by all that Raider talk of the first overall pick and a new coach. Todd is making a run at first place right now. It's Todd and Rob going head-to-head as we go down. Great camera work by producer Remis following this 1-2 battle at the start. The crafty Steve Mine is showing all sorts of stuff. Rob Wright. Todd Fertani's got stuck in one of those cars. Turd Ferguson has passed him. Vesanera now getting into the mix. But Rob Wright still with the lead. A few lengths ahead of Turd Ferguson. Vesanera coming into one of the remaining obstacles and passes the test very well. This is Rob Wright's to lose. Now, will he get stopped by some of these these ones that go up and down? No, he's made it through. He's got the lead. We've got one more obstacle to get through, and it looks like Rob has done that. Can anyone come in on a heater down the stretch? It doesn't look like it. Will Rob be in? Yes, he will. Our winner, Rob Wright, just ahead of Instant Noodles. Jeff Montgomery in third. Ernie Waldner fourth. Lori Lynn Marie in 5. Ticona Pauly. Way to go, Pauly. Top 10 finish. Nicely done. Ray OG in 7th. Turd Ferguson in 8th. Number 9 is Todd, 1811, and Timbro finishing up the top 10. Congratulations to Rob Wright. Fun track, and Rob really had a nice start and didn't blow it, as so often happens. As we finish up, here we are. The heat is finishing up. Todd M getting through. Rob Wright, 74,199, our winner. Rob, congratulations. Fire us an email. Let us know what size you are. Might have your size right now. WinnipegSportsTalk@gmail.com. If not, you'll have to wait. All right, we went through the top 10. Dan, Jets fan right there. Oh, Dr. Terry from Save-A-Tel Dental Center, 14th. Man, the guy can do it all. Great work. WST Maddie. There's the real Spency. Terminator from Chuds. Nicely done, Terminator. Big week. Chuds gets a new website. The snow's flying. Terminator. Top 25 finish in the marble race. Beauty. There's Blackie O. Wicked John. Vesanera fell back at the end. No Frills Demo. There's our guy Donnie Boy. What's up? King Kenny. Who else is in there? Darth Skater. Derek Schmidt. What's up, Derek? Ben Howard. Lawrence Richard. I'm still looking for me. I don't see it. THP Power. We got their stem. Peg City Scott. Candace. Nicely done. Top 100. Ishaboy Bruce. There's Poopy Pants. Mary Jane. Hi, Mary Jane. One of our favorites. Vinatoba. Paul Coffee. Deer Lodge Boy. Amanda S. 420. Tough one, Amanda. No fourth win for you today. T. Will. There's T. Will. Felix Petco. There's Waiters. VR Montenegro. Shout out to the EST crew. There's Tristan Rivers Music and Wayne Bretsky. Pat Rathwell. What's up, Pat? Ryan Dry. Geez, I had a brutal one today. I still haven't seen myself. There's Duck Dad. P.P. Vermette. Krugs. Oh, and I did not even finish. Hustler, top roped early on. Not a lot of marbles got top roped. I was one of them. All caps Kyle in there as well. And there's the rest. We're down to the bottom, Reem.
Yeah, that's it. All the way to the bottom there. Crafty Steve Mine.
Nicely done. Well, it was a fun one. That was a fun one, everybody. I did get turfed over the top rope, El Presidente. I did. Happens every now and then. I think I've gone back to back. After I think I finished, I had my first ever top 10 3 weeks ago. I got top rope the last two. But it's Rob's day today. Congratulations to Rob, today's winner. What's up for the weekend, Reem?
So many kids' activities. Driving, I got 8 a.m. hockey practice. Got that. My daughter started skating lessons as well.
Well, so Sadie, she'll be ripping it. She'll be ripping.
She, I'm ready to, give her a hug. Good luck. Have fun on the ice. She's and she just could not wait. She just ran past me right onto the ice. Couldn't even wait for the other kids before to get off. She's very excited. She's 3, and she's doing pretty well, actually, at skating. She's the athlete in the family. Watch over her.
She is quite the little dynamo with a lot of energy, which I love. Hey, by the way, did you do the outdoor practice the other day?
No, it was. I looked at Environment Canada. It was minus 22 with the wind. I was like, this is out of my comfort zone. I'm not doing it. So
you're so soft.
I didn't do it.
You know what?
I didn't do it.
Did the kids do it?
I think a lot of people bailed. We didn't. I don't know if people went or not. I didn't. I think
does the coach not say either it's on or off?
It's an optional, but we went the week before and they just threw them all in a giant rink and had a scrimmage.
It was an optional.
Gotcha. It was an optional. We took the option. We went the week before.
Warren Monroe. Sports Talk Winnipeg. Could be worse. I have to drive my granddaughter to her ringette game during the Bills game and the Jets game. Yikes. That's tough. Okay, Warren, you need the app. I don't know what TV service your provider. I think Remis told me this. Whether you're with Bell or with Shaw, if you have TV, you get if it's Bell, you get the 5 TV app. Log in, and wherever you are, you'll be able to watch whatever you have on your TV package on your phone. And it has been an absolute game changer for me when you are unfortunately put in those situations where you can't be where you want to be during a big game. So Shaw has the similar one. I can't remember what it's called. But if you do have regular television, cable, and internet, get that thing set up, and that will save your life on the weekend. You can even hook it up into your car. If it's hooked up, you'll get the full sound and kind of keep an eye on things. So should be good. Man, this is going to be a fun weekend. Jets Leafs tomorrow. Make it 5 in a row. Give us something to think about as we go into Monday's show. And listen, 4 great football games. One of my favorite weekends of the year with the divisional playoffs. Thanks to everyone for hanging out today. Thanks to all of our sponsors who make the show happen each and every day. Thanks to Dave McCarthy, Jeff Hamilton, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, Connor, of course, doing a great job on the Jets. He and Remo did the post game last night. Make sure to give that a look if you want more on last night's big win over the Minnesota Wild. And then, of course, Connor and Lissel fired up at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, getting you up to date with all the latest coming out of Jets Leafs on Saturday. And I'm sure Connor will talk about the NFL if the Niners do well. Otherwise, it'll be a hockey-only show. But good luck with everybody's picks. If you want ours, it's on WST Winners up there. That's going to do it. Fun marble race today. Fun show. Fun week. Great conversations. Very passionate on both sides of many debates about the Jets. We'll keep it going next week, starting at 1 o'clock on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. And let's hope we're talking about 5 in a row on Monday.
Oh, my God. Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.